Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Death by Pony, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. Today we're hopping back into Lake of Voices, and we continue on. Very sad state of affairs last time we played, but we just gotta keep going. Unfortunately, we're gonna lose people. So without further ado, let's hop into this. Alright, and into it we go.
It's a man.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Please. I'm sorry.
I'm struck with an array of questions. What's going on? Why would he wander out onto the bridges of his own? Did he make it this far by himself? Where's the others with him? If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for the state of shock he's in. The man stops mumbling. He glances above him, seeming only just now to have the strength to lift his head. His expression, the deepest sadness, along with the clearest markings of terror, are scrawled across his face. I stare at him in shock, not sure what to do.
Leave him.
Snap my eyes away from the man and instead, the guide's cold, implacable face.
No! We can't just leave him here. Without light, it's certain he'll die.
He won't make it regardless.
The guide turns to look at us, his eyes seeming to glow from the closeness of his lantern. For the first time, I feel uncomfortable in his presence.
Whoever shelters him will only risk dragging themselves down with him. Leave him.
I glance at my partner. Bamele is outraged. I'm trying to think of some kind of compromise. When the guide speaks again, his voice is cutting.
If the man comes, then whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group. Far enough that you can't see me, just my light. That is how you will travel across the bridges. I didn't agree to lead this man, and I won't. If you ask me to, I will leave you all behind.
Adrenaline surges through my veins, and I tense up. It's a painful reminder that the guide isn't here to save our lives, but merely to show us the way. We are on our own. Bamele is frantic. He is sharing more looks between each other, trying to communicate without words. Neither of us have a desire to speak, and be the first to make a choice. The man is standing now, though still hunched with his arms wrapped around himself, having trouble reading his face. What exactly happened to him?
Are you well, stranger? Do you know where you are and why you're here?
He glances up, not at me, but towards me, his eyes resting somewhere near my collarbone.
I'm fine. You all can go on your way. Forget you even saw me here.
That's absurd. You have no way to defend yourself. We can't leave you.
Yes, I'm sure in your eyes I might not seem like much, but that's not exactly a fair shake. Maybe in a perfect world, every man would be as large as you. But that's not how things always go. Doesn't mean I'm defenseless.
The man's response is meandering. The words themselves seem to be good jest, but he's still barely looking at us, fidgeting with his hands. Mel's frowned, unimpressed.
It was a joke.
He smiles hesitantly, making eye contact with each of us for the first
What
time.
part of it was supposed to be the joke? Do you even realize what is happening in this moment?
Never mind. Forget that too. Point is, I'm alright.
You have found yourself out alone and unlit on Sinlos.
Exactly. Something must be wrong with you.
Oh no, sounds like you've been talking with my father.
He let out a weak little laugh, coupled with an eyebrow raised, voice trembling. No one really knows what to make of this. The man gives a small wave and begins down the path we came. Mel huffs, tossing his hand into the
That's
air.
not even the right way.
It is for me.
Oh? You must have come quite a ways if it was the other shore you started on.
The man's smile grows.
Good. That's not so bad.
There's no response to this remark, unsure of what could be said.
I still think he should come with us. A person needs a light, and the guide himself said he won't be able to manage on his own. Sticking with us is his best option.
I look at the man's body, noting the scrawniness of his limbs, scrawny but not necessarily lacking in muscle. The bravado he was showing as he tried to leave us has faded yet again, and now he's standing quietly looking at us if watching a play. Interested, but no true connection to the events.
It's easy for you to say such things, but whose light are you offering? It's not mine, and you are putting her in even more danger with your own presence already.
Bamele's hands turns into fists, looks away, but doesn't say anything for a moment. No one does. I feel cold sweat on my brow as what I feared comes to pass. He's stopping us from protecting another. Why must he get involved now? Why can't he not leave us to make our own decisions?
You... Don't worry about me. I'll be on my way now.
The man's voice is full of something I cannot place as he started shuffling back down the way he came, arms still clenched around himself. I know the guide wants to act as though there is no option. However, I could stay back with him. I put Bamele and myself significantly more rest. At least this man will stand a chance. We can't... He's not our problem. He did this to himself. I can't risk it. Bamele starts at the man as he leaves. We both watch him drag his little frame down the bridge, quickly fading from sight. We had to let him go. We've already suffered the loss of one of our own. The space the man vanished into was dark and silent. We can see and hear nothing of him, not even his footsteps. The guide was right. There are no other options. But that's what I have to believe. We need to get through this somehow, and being weighed down with guilt will only distract us. The guide starts moving again at a quick pace. After a moment's hesitation and one last glance into the truly lifeless fog, we run to catch up to him. We walk onward in silence. Our party hasn't changed. The stranger was never added to it, so it's not as if it makes sense to miss him. There's a sense of loss all the same. No one attempts Meredith. I keep thinking I should have done more. I should have pushed the guide harder to change his mind, so it was less dangerous to keep the man around, something, anything. But I have to let this go. I'm not going to forget that man. I'll never forget him, but we still need to get through this. I curl my hands into fists, hoping they'll strengthen my resolve, then push forward. We turn down a different path, and the guide stops. Ahead of us stands a group of prowlers. At the sound of us, they turn their heads in unison as if they knew we were coming. I inhaled. Would you look at those faces? And look at that moon. I think it's the moon in the background. Very scary. The prowlers wriggle somehow, their skin moving more slowly than it should, sliding across their skeletons. They laugh.
We cannot lose another lantern at this point. We're almost to the island.
The guide rummages through his coat with his free hand.
What are you planning?
The mouse tone is borderline threatening, but this guide ignores him. He pulls out a small pouch and opens a latch on his lantern.
Wait, are you going to throw that at them? What if the bridge sets on fire?
It's soaked in water.
It will. We're going to run.
This is insane! These bridges are hellish enough without them also being on fire. And what about the other man? If he's still out there, this could...
He's dead. We're not losing another lantern.
He says it with such detached certainty, as if he saw it happen himself. No one argues with him. The guide steps closer to the prowlers, falling a step behind him, staying close to his back. He bends his lantern back down until it's lowered onto his outstretched arm, then the pouch in his hand is set aflame. With a practiced flick of the wrist, he swings the staff back up, and the glass on the lantern snaps closed.
Don't get left behind.
He takes 3 quick steps, then tosses the pouch. The prowlers are back in the water before the pouch even lands. As soon as it does, the light starts to lick, curl itself around the wood. The guide breaks into a sprint, and so do the rest of us, the blaze growing despite the heavy dampness from the lake. The bridges aren't normal bridges, of course, that's true. Nothing here is right. Hopefully they won't collapse with the flames. We stay on the guide's heels, almost too close for comfort. If he stops abruptly, we'll all crash into one another, maybe even fall off the bridge. Then the world tilts mid-stride. When I put my foot down, the bridge isn't where it was. It lurches to one side, either because it was weak or pushed. Bamel and I manage to keep our ground, as does the guide. He presses on without even bothering to see if we were able to follow. Bamel grows in frustration as we push to keep up with the guide's pace. Our storm of feet thunder across the boards. The silver sliver begins to rise, viewed just above the edge of the water.
It's the island.
The island. I squint and suddenly make out the craggly form of the land and earth. I see. We're almost there. Safety, at long last, in sight. New energy surges through me. We push ourselves faster, longing to put these godforsaken bridges behind our backs. All at once, the bridge ends and our entire group rushes ashore. Earth, solid earth, haven from the water. I catch my breath while still moving even further away from the dark shoreline. I can't believe we're actually made it. Even more difficult is the idea that we're only halfway done. When night falls once more, we have to do it all again. A heavy arm follows across my shoulder, and I straighten to see Mel smiling merrily at me.
Good work out there.
It's not the usual accommodation of a job well done. There's a sadness, perhaps even sympathy, in this sentence. It ends flatly. Well, yeah, we lost one of our party members, and we left another man to die. And we're supposed to be warriors. Usually Bamel's comfort and good nature gives me at least the urge to smile, but right now I feel like a hollow victory. Despite still having the comfort of one another, we were incapable of doing any true good. We're only able to save ourselves. A quiet moment passes between us. And then the guide is there. He moves so smoothly, his step on the soft sands are nearly silent. His dusty clothes blend in with the thinning of the night.
The sun will rise soon. The fire on the bridge is the only reason this island isn't overrun with prowlers right now. However, they could still pose a threat.
Mel leaves an empty look towards the guide.
Is there something we should do?
Come. Guide takes us to an area a bit further inland, but not too far from the water. The trees partly obscured our location. There's enough room to watch the coast in case prowlers start to emerge from the water. Essentially, it's a place where an ambush would be hard.
If any of you see anything at all, speak up. We don't want them to sneak up on us.
Almost automatically, each member in the group turns to a different direction. The sky continues to fade from pale purple to muted blue. The water stays silent. For the first time, nothing happens. It's a miracle. Suddenly, my chest is lighter and the air is fresher. First pricks of light appear above the horizon, stinging my eyes after such a journey through the darkness. The sound catches my attention, and then I move my focus towards the direction. The guide is opening the latch on his lantern again. He gently, almost respectfully, blows out the light.
We no longer have to worry about the Nixie. It is over for today.
I'm almost unable to keep tears of relief from pouring out at those words. We made it through the night. We survived. No one feels the need to speak. We look at each other, and understanding passing between us. Then we find our spaces as comfortable as we can get, lie down. For rest we weren't sure would ever come. I slowly blink open, readjusting to the brightness. What little there is. The sun is obscured by thick layer fog, making it impossible to estimate the time of day. I prop my elbows up to push myself up. The ground is hard and rocky, but that isn't the only reason I'm eager to get on my feet. I check my surroundings. The harsh, craggy earth of the island is interlaced with twisting vines and gnarling branches. Beside me, Bamele is still fast asleep. The guide, however, is nowhere to be seen. I realize I don't recall seeing him lay down with everybody. It's likely he left us hours ago. There's creeping silence here. I can't help but shudder at the hollow, aching feeling inside of me. I refuse to relent. I swing my weight back and forth, unsure what to do with myself. Memories of last night's harrowing journey flicker through my mind. Bamele was suddenly rising with alarm. I open my mouth. My mouth opens, then shuts, and after a moment of fumbling, a word finally escapes. Bamele gives me a gentle smile and makes his way over to me.
Morning.
A pocket of quiet descends over us. Bamele sighs. Atmosphere is weighing on him already.
We should eat something soon.
Yes.
A distinct rustling of the leaves around catches my attention. The guide appears emerging from the thicket. Bamele glares at him as he makes his way over. Why are you glaring at this poor man? What did he do to you, Bamele?
The Nixie will not tread on land in daylight. However, being near the shoreline is still dangerous. If you leave the center of the island, remain cautious. Before the sun sets, I will be in this area. It would be wise to meet me here before nightfall.
Why do you do this?
I sharply turns to Bamele. He snarls and confronts the guy.
If you had just let him follow behind us, if you had been there before, none of this would have happened. They didn't have to die.
The guy looks away, seemingly unaffected.
If all you're going to do is leave everyone to be lost, then why bother guiding us at all?
Despite Bamele's severe words, the guide apparently considered his piece here finished. He turned towards the forest area from which he came. Bamele calls out to the guide, reaching towards him. Before he can make contact, I quickly place a hand on his shoulder. He lowers his arm to his side, though I can still feel emanating from him. We stayed this way until the guide disappeared from view. Malay begins to kick the ground, spaying tiny pieces of gravel about.
Melee, I know you're angry, but regardless of our feelings, we need the guide. If he leaves us, we'll all die.
And we've done so well with him.
I give him a cold glance. We won't even know which bridge to take without the guide, but Malay knows that. This needs to stop. There are people counting on us to make it back.
We can't afford to lose our way.
The anger etched into his expression fades into sadness.
I can't stay here right now.
Quietly, I speak. I need to be alone. But Malay, wait. I'm going to speak with the guide. I speak too softly for Bameli to hear. Lingering for only a moment, I start following the trail Bameli took. It doesn't take him long to notice I'm there, and he slows his pace so I can easily catch up. We fall into step short while, neither of us speaking. Eventually we come to a thicket and stand of trees and wordlessly weave our way through the branches. Once we were hidden by the foliage, Bameli leans against a tree trunk, head hung low. Negativity radiating off of him, but I don't know what I should say. Fortunately, he breaks the silence.
I apologize for back there.
I nod firmly. His reply isn't unexpected. For as long as I have known Bameli, he has had a tendency to let his temper flare, then regret it later after processing his thoughts.
I know that dealing with these sorts of situations calmly is part of the job. But I cannot tell myself everything is fine or that none of it matters. Sure, I can feel something without it being anger, but I've not figured that out either.
Rather than speak, I try to listen as supportively as I can while Bameli continues to argue with himself. He sighs while pensively rubbing the bridge of his
Am I
nose.
simply being foolish? Would it really have been so harmful to try and help someone else instead of focusing solely on oneself? It looks to me like we're telling ourselves these lines to avoid responsibility.
I don't know. It's possible you helping would have worked better. It's also possible it would have been worse.
Bameli stares across an empty water of
I
Sinnoh.
want it to be clear that I have not forgotten that those people across this lake are depending upon us. Not for a moment. But would they want us to be so focused on them that we should turn a blind eye to others right in front of us? Even if they would, does that matter? We are more than weapons, we are people. Do we have to cast that aside, turn away from our fellow humans, just to achieve a so-called greater good? It is not as though this village is a haven of saints. They are only as worthwhile as we are and these people on the bridges with us, aren't they?
I don't know.
I can feel the weight of his words setting upon me. I have had similar thoughts and have questioned what the correct choice is, but unlike Bameli, I have always been silent. I clench my fist tightly and try to stop from saying something rash. Bameli closes his eyes tight and rubs his face again. It's clear this hasn't been enough to give him much peace. Eventually his eyes reopen and look directly in
What
mine.
do you think about all this, Kika? Please, be honest with me. I want to hear it.
Suddenly my eyes are hot. My vision blurs slightly from tears I'm desperately trying to hold back.
I really don't know. That is the truth.
My words are soft. Whether he heard or not, he looks at my face is enough to garner attention. His eyebrows shoot up in surprise. He walks over to me slowly, concerned.
Kika, what is troubling you?
I don't have the answers to what you were wondering. Who are we meant to protect? Everyone we can? Whoever we're told to serve and no one else? Just ourselves? Should we only try to protect others when the risk is minimal? I have no idea what the right option is.
Bameli's confusion only mounts with my
I
words.
am sorry for disappointing you.
No! You haven't disappointed me in any way. I never should have expected someone else to give me answers to those kinds of questions. It is only... I did not think that...
He doesn't finish his thought, but I know what he meant to say.
You did not think I was concerned with these issues?
He smiles awkwardly over being caught.
Yes. You never seemed to be bothered by anything we experienced before now.
With his words, my carefully held resolve crumbles in an instant. My cheeks are wet, with hot fluid cooling in the chill air as it slips down my face.
I've always cared. I've always been afraid and confused, but I have kept up a...
I stop and gasp for air, my throat almost as tight as when we were running on the
a
bridges.
farce of strength in order to get by.
I breathe deeply with relief, terrified, and lightheaded from my confession. Mameli's voice is as delicate as a flower.
I had no idea. How could I not have noticed?
Because I did whatever I could to make sure no one did. I have never wished to appear weak in front of others. But the truth is, I barely get through each day. I often feel overwhelmed with sadness at all that we have experienced.
Mameli gently places his hand on my shoulder as I try not to sob wildly.
Kika, I truly apologize for all the thoughtless things I have said to you.
I shake my head, sniffing.
There is no need for you to apologize.
He smiles, the warmth almost enough to make me forget the dam.
I beg to differ. I have failed to treat you right.
You have always been respectful.
A person needs more than respect from their comrades. They also need support. I have never given you that kind of consideration because I believed someone like you did not need it.
The same could be said for me.
Nonsense. You have listened to my rambling on more occasions than I can remember. Though I admit my memories may not be there due to being drunk many of those times.
Mameli laughs at himself while glancing in my direction. I encourage me to do the same. His comforting words make me smile, and I feel my tears finally cease to fall. Still is not necessary. I'll continue to support you. He grins wider than he has since we began this horrible journey.
You have my thanks.
And you have mine.
Abruptly, his expression becomes serious once more.
I will come to answer these questions someday. But no matter what I decide, I will still put trust in your judgment.
I fear I may not live up to the belief he seems to have in me, but I firmly nod. He returns my nod.
Perhaps we should go check how everything is on the island.
That sounds like an excellent idea. And I will accompany you, of course.
Of course you will. Where else are you gonna go? I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to happens next. I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.